In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 4 greatest heroes.
Hey, how's it going, folks? This is Metal Geisen again with another channel update and also a movie review. I just saw the Superman film by James Gunn. I want to talk about that a little bit, but before I get into that film, I want to talk about the overall state of the channel going forward into the end of the year, 2026 or 2025, going into 2026. So I have 4 videos on my docket right now that I'm going to produce. And these 4 videos are going to be the last videos that I'm going to release this year. The first video is going to be on the aesthetic philosophy of Japanese philosopher Kuzo Kiki. Kuzo Kiki is a very obscure Japanese philosopher from the 20th century, and he's known for his aesthetic ideal revolving Japanese, or particularly Edo Japanese aesthetics. And if you're familiar with Japanese history, Edo was the period in Japanese history ranging from the 17th century to the 19th century, the mid-19th century. And what happens in the mid-19th century is a Meiji Restoration, which changes the Edo government to I wouldn't say democracy as we know it now, but like, I guess, what would you call that? Like a constitutional monarchy? Yeah, constitutional monarchy. There you go. So yeah, in his philosophy, he tries to construct a aesthetic philosophy around Edo aesthetics, which he calls Iki. So I'm gonna talk about that. Then the next video I'm gonna do is I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So, Iki is a philosophy, like why he wanted to do Iki, or he wanted to, or why he thinks Iki is important in terms of Japanese aesthetic values, is he's really trying to take Heidegger, because he was taught by Heidegger and Husserl, and apply it to Japanese, Japanese thinking. So, yeah, I'm going to do a video on that. Then the next video, which is really a build-up from the Kuzo video, is Funeral Parade of Roses. Yes, finally, I'm going to do the video on Funeral Parade of Roses. If you've been following my channel ever since the beginning, I've been talking about this video for years now. I'm going to finally do that video. And Kuzo has a lot of influence on that video. So, yeah, that is coming after the Kuzo video. Then from Funeral Parade of Roses, I have a video on shelling that I want to do. And AI, I want to talk about AI in relation to Schelling's philosophy. And I think from there, so this video that I'm recording now, the Kuzo video, Funeral Parade of Roses, and the Shelling video are going to be the last videos of this year. So with that being said, let me go into the film. So Superman by James Gunn, overall, I'm not a fan. I think the problem with the film is I don't think James Gunn is like a really good dude when it comes to making these very I guess campy superhero films, or more grounded, down to earth, because Superman is a really like down to earth guy. He's not cynical like you would see in his film The Suicide Squad, right? Or even stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy, because Guardians of the Galaxy is a superhero team of like these dysfunctional people. Superman's not really a dysfunctional guy. He's a very straightforward guy, and I don't really think he can do a film like that. With that being said, or besides that fact, another reason why it just doesn't work. I think mechanically, what I mean by mechanically, it's like, the basic language of film, like editing, pacing, the screenplay, mise-en-scene, how the way the film is shot. It's not cinematic. Like, I don't understand what's up with him. I don't know if this is like a trend in broader Hollywood right now, this decade. Everything's shot like a video game, I don't know who thinks that's cool. I don't know who thinks that is like a good ideal. I honestly don't know, because the thing is, for me, I don't really watch a lot of new movies. For basically ever since I was 18, oh, sorry, not 18, 17, I've been watching like superhero films. And occasionally I will watch like, a talked about like Oscar film or art film. But my general consensus about like these films or films in the last 10, 15 years, I don't think Hollywood produces great films. I think Hollywood's in decline. I think the best years of Hollywood is way, way behind them. Unfortunately, I think the best directors of the 20th century, the late 20th century, they are no longer, they don't have the presence as they had before, and they're dying. Like David Lynch died a couple months ago. That really took me back. In my 20s, I was a great fan of David Lynch. I mean, I still am a fan, but really, my early 20s shaped my, I guess, going back to Kuzo, aesthetic philosophy, really helped me understand, like, myself and what was going on with me psychologically and emotionally. Yeah, big fan. So, yeah, we don't have guys like that anymore. We're losing those people. And I don't even think that the movie-going audience is intelligent enough to digest a film of that caliber anymore, And going back to James Gunn's Superman, that's another problem it has. It's just too, what's the word I'm looking for? Mass appeal. Like, I don't really like films that are just like, I don't like entertainment in general that is like very like lowest common denominator type of stuff, right? Like, I think a great art or a great film, it elevates things, it takes the mundane and elevates it, turns it into something transcendental. The original Superman film, I've seen bits and pieces of it growing up. Yeah, that was a great film. I'm not a fan of the Superman character. That's not my favorite superhero, never was. But as a superhero film, objectively, I think it's pretty solid. One of the reasons why it was so solid, because it was cinematic, how the way it was shot, how the way he paced the story, the emotional scenes really hit. There was an oomph to them, there was a lot of pathos with the characters and all that stuff. I don't really get that with this film. I get a lot of, inappropriate jokes, a lot of gratuitous violence. I mean, I know the Zack Snyder Superman had a lot of violence, but Zack Snyder's Superman was like a edgy, dark, depressing film. This film is supposed to be more lighthearted, more upbeat. So totally, it kind of like breaks the immersion for me, where you got like scenes where like, Superman is like in this like, I guess the negative zone or something. And, they're like, torturing these people violently and stuff. It's just, I don't know, that's James Gunn's trauma days not leaving him, I don't know if my audience is familiar with underground film history, but trauma films is like, you talking about like terrible films, and I use terrible, the term terrible here, or the adjective terrible here, as a good term. I remember watching those films as a teenager, and it was just like shocked of how Matt Barr and just like the stuff they were able to get away with, like Charlie Kaufman. Lloyd Kaufman. I'm sorry, Charlie Kaufman's the director. Lloyd Kaufman, that's the owner of Troma, also the director of Toxic Avenger, the film that put Troma on the map. Yeah, I remember watching that film as a teenager, and like in the beginning of the film, the guy gets his head ran over by a car, and he records that, he shoots that, he shows you that, the whole process. Like usually, if guys get his head ran over, they cut away from like the actual act of his head, being squashed. But no, they show it. He showed it in Toxic Avenger, and it was like the craziest thing to me. And I remember when like he turned into the Toxic Avenger, it was like so like gross and like really disgusting. So yeah, James Gunn comes from that scene. I think his first film ever, it was in the 90s. It was Romeo and Juliet. I think I saw that film too when I was a teenager. I can't remember. But yeah, so yeah, I did see that film, and that film was really disgusting. This is in continuity of Troma's quality. So yeah, I think because he comes from that background, it forms a lot of his filmmaking. Even to this day, when he's trying to do a film, like I said, it's supposed to be very lighthearted, very family friendly. I just don't think he's the guy for that. I think he's really good with the more dark, more mischievous, delinquent style superheroes, like the Suicide Squad. That's perfect for him. These are not even superheroes, they're villains, they're terrible people. Then he comes around and he takes these people and turns them into respectable superheroes, or not necessarily respectable, but anti-heroes, reluctant superheroes, and, you start to feel for them, right? I think about, like, in Suicide Squad, Will Smith's character, I don't know the guy's name, Idris Ibra, I don't know if I said his name right, but that guy, the dude who played in Luther, he's supposed to be a replacement of Will Smith in that film, because Will Smith was supposed to come back for that version of Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, but he never did. So they put him and replaced that guy. His character, you kind of feel for the guy. He's not really like an evil dude for the sake of being evil. He's doing all this evil stuff because he's trying to save his daughter and all this stuff. Yeah, you feel for that. You empathize with that. But it only works because, like I said, like the character's a criminal. He's not a good guy. He's a terrible dude. James Gunn, though, or Superman's, James Gunn Superman, though, yeah, Superman is not a terrible person. Superman's a good guy. He's always good. He's always, doing that stuff. And that's another thing with that, too. Like, I don't really think he really delved into the psychology of Superman enough. One of the films, like the first film, did that really well. Honestly, not James Gunn, Zack Snyder's Superman did that not really good, but I personally believe a lot better than James Gunn did it in this film. But what else? I'm trying to think here. I don't know. I just think maybe we need to move on from superhero films. I was thinking about seeing the Fantastic Four film, but honestly, at this point, I'm just tired of the films. Like, I think we've done everything you couldn't possibly do with superheroes in a way that is entertaining as well as, tasteful. I don't know, like, I mean, superhero films make a lot of money, I think this film is going to make a lot of money. There's really nothing else out there. Like, there are other films they still make films, what I'm saying, outside of superheroes, but like the other films, like, I think they're just too political in my taste. They kind of defy the logic of, like, reality in the filmic sense. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain that, other than just saying that they're just not good. I don't know. Like, outside of the politics, like, films are just not good. They're not shot well anymore. Like I said, this film is not cinematic. It looks like that one show that he did a couple years ago, the Peacemaker show, and that's like a TV show, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I want films like David Lynch. I want films like John Huston, Alfred Hitchcock. I know those guys died, or Alfred Hitchcock, John Huston died like over 50 years ago. But like, these guys were like film guys. Like they really understood how to make films, very emotional, impactful, as well as still being accessible for majority of the audience. I think films now are just stupid. They're made for stupid people. This generation, this TikTok, 4chan, Instagram, 4chan. I don't think a lot of people are going on 4chan. But this like over social mediaization culture has really done a number on the IQ points of the average American, and I would say in general, the average person. And because of that, art has suffered. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of films now. I don't see a lot of films anymore because of that reason. I think going further, and unfortunately, and I really do say this sincerely, I am very sad about the current state of films. I don't think I'm going to see a lot of films in the theater, unless it's like an old film. I wish there was more old classic films around. Like, I want to watch old movies now, I don't want to watch any new movies. They're just not made for people like me anymore. Like, I'm not like a Criterion guy. Like, I'm not like, oh, I can only watch films from the 1960s, Japanese, New Wave. I mean, I'll watch anything, if it's entertaining. Like, one of my favorite films of all time is Aliens, right? By James Gunn. James Gunn is like, not James Gunn, I'm sorry, James Cameron. James Cameron is like an action movie director, he's not an art guy. But he knows how to make a very entertaining film. Like, I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for just better, films, like more quality films. And I'm just not seeing that anymore, a lot of these films, like I said, are just they're not hitting it. So, yeah, what else to say about the film? Like I said, it's shot weird. I don't like this video game cinematography that they're doing with these films now. The tone is weird. Also, like, how the way he structured the narrative. Like, there's so much stuff going on. There's something with him that he does with the ensemble pieces. He likes to have a lot of characters in these films. I think this film would have done a lot better if it was just solely focused on Superman and his relationship with Lex Luthor. Take out the other superheroes, the Justice League guys. In the film, they're called the Justice Game, but we all know that they're going to be the Justice League, or at least the Super Friends, because the building that they, I guess, live in, or they go to meet up, is the Super Friends building from the show, the cartoon show from the 70s. So yeah, like, take that out. Like, we don't need the Super Friends in this film. We don't need this situation where, because I guess he tries to make a case for why he has the characters in the movie, because there's like a D plot where Lex Luthor is like doing some scheming stuff in a foreign country, and they go there to like, save the day. Yeah, I mean, you don't need all that, man. You don't need all of that. So I just think it's just too much stuff. It's just too much stuff. Too many plot points. Not enough Superman in the sense of character. I mean, you definitely see a lot of Superman punching big monsters and fighting robots and stuff. But Superman as a character, a character that has a arc, has, a type of pathos that we as an audience can, grab on and relate to, or at least empathize with. There's not a lot of that there. I feel like the film is just speed running the Superman mythos, right? Like, we got to have Superman going back at home, hanging out with, Mom, Pa, Kent. We got to have Superman fighting a big monster. We got to have Superman, fighting like or trying to solve like a crazy thing at the climax of the film. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just too much of that. Like, I think at a certain point, it's just like I know that it's kind of hard to make a Superman film that's like novel because, basically, except like the 90s, there's been a Superman film, right? But even still, I feel like the skill of the artist, or in this context, the filmmaker, they're supposed to be able to find a novel way to tell an old story. And I don't really think he was able to do that with this version of Superman. I think he failed. I definitely do think he failed on that. Another thing too about a film, if I'm on my phone, because a trait that I do not share with my generation, and when I talk about my generation, I'm talking about millennials here, I am really good with attention. Like, I have a really good attention span. I'm a very obsessive guy, so like I can lock on to something for like ever and not lose focus or not lose not lose focus, not lose attention. Only though when something doesn't strike my attention. Like, for example, this film. Typically when I see I watch a good film, I'm always like, I'm all eyes, ears, I'm paying attention. I want to watch the whole thing unfold. But this film, like I said, I was on my phone half of the time, I was very bored with the film. It was a routine for me to watch. I was actually going to walk out the film because it was just routine for me. But I told myself, like, I do want to do some content. I'm working on content right now, but I want to make something right quick so I can have something on my channel for people to watch. So I might as well just finish this film and, do a video on it. So, yeah, that's why I finished it. If it wasn't for that, I would have left the film. I would have left the theater like 30 minutes into the film. Because for me, I can gauge a film whether or not I'm going to like it in the first 30 minutes. So, not a good film, I think, going forward. I don't even want to watch any more superhero films, honestly. Like, I'm just done with superhero films. I wish we could move on from this. But like I said, what's going to replace superhero films, I think Hollywood is just creatively bankrupt. I used to know a guy who worked in Hollywood. He was telling me that, like, he worked for Disney. Like, he was saying, like, Disney would just hire people who have no background in screenwriting, no creative background, just anybody, because they just need someone in the chair, right? They need someone in there to just, like, do something, They were hiring people on the spot to write a screenplay. I guess, too, because at the time where I knew this guy, the writer's strike was going on, so that's probably another reason why they were hiring all these people. But yeah, it definitely shows. There's definitely a lot of quantity over quality that's going on in Hollywood right now, and it's very unfortunate for film as an art form. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the James Gunn film. If you have any comments, questions, any counterpoints, like, hey, actually the film was not bad, it was good, and this is why, please let me know in the comment section. As always, like and subscribe, and have a great day.
I'm a teenage Jesus superstar with a mighty cross to bear. And when mom complains about my hair, I say, hey mom, I just don't care.